look at that. It's really good.
Aloha nerds, and I am Matthew Salanoa. Welcome back to the Salawag's Why It's Great Gut Reaction, where I watch things and react from the gut. Alright, so I hope you like my little intro where I am, for some reason, a 20-story tall Gojira, Matt Jira. Thank you very much. I recorded myself shirtless, obviously, in front of the very blue sky, the summer sky that was burning my flesh alive as I was in front of it, because I didn't have a green screen, but I had a very blue sky. And I already had some footage of San Francisco. I was like, you know what? I think I can make this work. So, yeah, that's that. So if you're joining me today, you are joining me for a continuation. It's been a little while. I've taken a little break because I've watched like 11 or 12 of these movies now. I am doing a series on watching the Godzilla movies in order and then ranking them at the end. So actually I need to check my ranking before I do that, but yeah. So today we're talking about the Godzilla movies between Destroy All Monsters and Godzilla vs. Gigan. And I gotta say, this is an interesting ride, okay, for me. I realize that for you hardcore Godzilla fans, that this is blasphemy to you. You don't want to see Zilla. This is Zilla to the true fans. And you know what? The more and more I watch, I'm understanding more and more how that is not acceptable to you. Except when I've watched the first 3 Godzilla movies, not including the American one. Gojira, Godzilla Raids Again, and King Kong versus Godzilla, the original. And I mean, I got to watch the original. Max has the original Japanese version, not the American version. When I watched that... Oh no, I had to watch that on YouTube, sorry. That's what the problem was. Max didn't have it, so I had to watch King Kong versus Godzilla, the original, on YouTube. Sorry for that mix-up. But when I watched those first 3, I was like, this is the same thing. What are you mad about? But now that I am much further along, I'm totally... I feel like I'm becoming a real Godzilla fan because I'm just really digging every time Godzilla's on screen. And I'm like, screw these humans. Go away, humans. I don't need humans. I just need Godzilla. Godzilla. Ah! I have to do it. I'm sorry. I've got to do it. I love it. I love it. Because, truth be told, I would not even be here if not for this movie. This was my first Godzilla. Godzilla 98 with Matthew Broderick was my first Godzilla. So like The Phantom Menace, screw you OG fans, I freaking loved it. And I still enjoy this movie. And I have no problem with it being more of a Spielbergian ripoff of the Jurassic Park movies. To me, Godzilla 98 is my preferred Jurassic Park 3, which I understand is probably offensive to some of you hardcore Jurassic Park fans. But if you like Jurassic World, then I don't need to impress you. I don't care what your opinion is. But that being said, I have been really having a good time watching these Godzilla movies. As I have stated before, I'm watching all of this. This is my homework. I grew up loving Power Rangers, watching Kaiju versus Mecha battles every single Saturday, or actually every single day once it was playing on reruns. I just love that stuff so much. As a filmmaker, when I made my last film 8 years ago, 007, I Only Need One, my homework for directing that, I gave it to myself. I watched every single James Bond movie ever made, with the exception of 2, Casino Royale, the original, and Diamonds Are Forever, whichever one was the unofficial James Bond that Sean Connery came back for. But other than that, I'd seen every single one of the official canon James Bond, just to get myself in the headspace to direct that little short film, and I think the results are pretty. I think the results speak for themselves. I don't think it's a bad fan film at all. It's very much a fan film. It looks a bit student filmy, but I think it looks pretty good for what we had. We made it on nothing, and so my goal is to do this again with Kaiju and Mecha, because I love Power Rangers so much, but I feel like if I want to do this, I need to not just watch Power Rangers. I did watch the Ranger, which I will give my thoughts on that later on, if you want to see that. But boy, did I picked Godzilla because I thought this is the one I need to watch. I need to watch Godzilla from beginning to end. This is my homework for it. If I want to make a Kaiju versus Mecha, then I need to not only watch just anything with Kaiju or Mecha in it. I need to watch the Mac Daddy. I need to watch the original, the real one, the one that everyone talks about and knows. When they say Kaiju, when they talk about their favorite Kaiju, they're talking about Godzilla, the big G, or the other big G for the other people I'm offending. And I was like, yeah, I got to get into this, because I'd already seen Gojira out of curiosity a few years back. But then when I decided I want to make a Mecha versus Kaiju, I was like, the only homework that will do is Godzilla, because this is the original. This is men in suits, not the stop motion that I know. I still need to watch Ray Harryhausen stuff. I'm so behind on my homework as a cinephile. But I love the men in suits, the practical effects. I do think audiences are craving practical effects. We've had 25 years or so of visual effects taking over the industry, and people are aching to see practical effects done, but done well with a good story. That's what they need. But I just feel like for myself, as a storyteller, I really need to do my homework. I don't want to just jump in and make this and not know really what not have, just at least have a sense of what the real filmmakers, the people who did this back in the day, when they didn't have a visual effect to get them out of it, when it was just 2D cell animation making the fire breath. I need to know, what did that look like? What did it feel like? What were the camera angles? How did they do this stuff? And it's been an interesting ride watching these movies get better and better and better. And then sometimes worse. I think there's definitely hits and misses with this franchise, even up to the point that I'm at now, where I just watched Godzilla versus Gigan. But I'm so enjoying this ride, and I hope to, I hope that for the true Godzilla fans out there, that I'm getting the correct understanding of what you guys appreciate about this character. Not that I'm hoping to make a Godzilla movie in the future. I just want to make a good Kaiju versus Mech picture that stands up to Godzilla. You know what I mean? I want to make something so good, or at least so invigorating, that when you watch it, you're like, you know what? Yeah, I'll put this next to Godzilla as a good, really good live action dudes in suits duking it out with special effects, however it has to be accomplished. I really want to make something that just captures that imagination again. And I feel like I did a pretty good job directing I Only Need One, and I would love to do an even better job making a Mech versus Kaiju, because I feel like in today's time, with the amazing engineers, the people out on Instagram or YouTube making their own homegrown suits and stuff, I hope I can find one of you who would be interested in collaborating, or even just, if I gotta make it myself with a couple pieces of cardboard and spray paint, whatever I gotta do to make this real, I'm gonna make it as good as I possibly can. So that is why I'm here watching these in order, just to absorb it. I need to absorb it. I really need to become as much a fan of Godzilla as I am of superheroes, because I really want to make the next great live action Kaiju versus Mech movie, if I can. But I know that I can't possibly do it if I don't know this franchise from beginning to its end. So here we are. I'm going to talk about Destroy All Monsters Attack, Hedorah, and end with Gigan. Gut reaction. So I'm telling you already, this this starts off with the best and ends with the worst / best. Destroy All Monsters, I had to rewatch again. I had watched it before I took my break from watching these movies. Destroy All Monsters was so good. Son of Godzilla, still my favorite. Still going to be top of my ranking list. But Destroy All Monsters has this, for those of you who haven't seen it, it has this whole plot where aliens have come back. I don't know if they're the same aliens from Invasion of the Astro Monster, which I did not like very much. But we do have aliens returning, and this time around they've decided to mind control all of the monsters that we've met across the movies, plus some that we haven't met before. And they are turning the monsters against humanity, and they're going to basically wipe us out or control us in some kind of way. And their goal, as stated in the movie, is to turn Earth into a society of technology. Really sounds like the plot of Right Now in 2024. But anyway, it's actually pretty exciting because we're starting off with these astronauts going to the moon. They're going to set up their own base or something like that. I forget exactly the details because even though I just watched it again, I fast forwarded a little bit. But the effects are pretty fun. We're seeing seeing a little toy rocket basically fly across a little sky backdrop, and we have UFOs flying around, and it's fun. It's fun to look at. You see the datedness of the technology here. And I'm bringing this up on purpose because when we get to Gigan, there is such a jump in the technology and in how they shoot things. But Destroy All Monsters, we got these aliens taking over Godzilla and the other monsters, and they're attacking, they're attacking every country, every continent. And here, I believe, this is Godzilla's first time visiting New York. Destroy All Monsters, after becoming mind controlled, Godzilla goes to New York and starts blowing up a power station, and he blows up the UN building. Like, wow, Godzilla, you just start off. You just introduce yourself causing anarchy. Poor New York. Poor New York never gets a break. Jesus. Godzilla is so destructive. And then we have the other monsters causing harm, and Rodan is in Russia for some reason. But one of the things I thought was very standout is this movie, Destroy All Monsters, I realize, is Japan's Armageddon. This is literally, it's Armageddon. I couldn't help but feel like Michael Bay should remake Destroy All Monsters as part of the current legendary, since they went as crazy as they went with Godzilla and Kong, the New Empire. Michael Bay, I'm telling you, if you've ever wanted to dip your hands in the Godzilla world, I think remake Destroy All Monsters as the next Godzilla movie, because it's literally Godzilla. It's Godzilla meets The Rock meets Armageddon, kind of all smished into one. You know what I mean? You got these astronauts trying to countermand these alien plots. They're sneaking around alien installations, breaking into their installations, destroying their technology so that they can break the mind control connection that they have over the monsters, because the monsters are destroying Earth. Really, I think this must be a mistranslation, because it should be All Monsters Destroy, because nobody tries to destroy the monsters in this movie. I mean, we do get the return of Ghidorah. He just shows up whenever whenever they don't have a new monster, they just bring back a Ghidorah. I've started to notice. But yeah, we got all these monsters fighting. They fight Ghidorah. We get the spiky monster Agalaris. I cannot hold on to that name. I'm so sorry. We got the little monster that looks kind of like a tortoise and kind of like an armadillo, but he's got spikes all over him. He gets in a little tangle with Ghidorah, who's also, his real name is Zero. Let's not forget that. I do remember that. I'll never forget that from Invasion of the Astro Monster, where they totally tried to retcon themselves, and his name is not Ghidorah, it's Zero. I'm like, yeah, I don't think that's gonna stick. I think Ghidorah is just too cool of a name. The gilded three-headed dragon. But anyway, our Japanese heroes managed to break the connection by movie's end. And I know I should say spoilers, but look, this movie is so old. It doesn't really matter. They're all the same. Okay, all these movies are the same. All right? Either the monsters show up and they're destroying things and Godzilla has to stop them, or Godzilla's the one destroying things and they have to stop Godzilla. It's always one or the other, or both, and this movie does both. So after the Japanese astronauts and their sort of government counterparts, their military counterparts, after they managed to break the control of the aliens over the monsters, they set the monsters to, they managed to figure out where the Earth installation is that the aliens are working from, and send the monsters that way, but it's hidden. They can't see it. It's underneath a hill or a mountain or something. They can't find it directly. But it's when Ghidorah comes in and tries to smash everyone, and the aliens... What's funny is the aliens had ridiculous helmets in Invasion of the Astro Monster. It was a really bad look. I mean, wow, I'm still mad at that movie. And I'm sorry for being mad at it. But what's interesting is in this movie, the aliens are just regular looking Japanese people, but our leader of our aliens is this really cute Japanese woman, but she's got this weird silvery shimmery outfit, which is like, okay, that's an alien then. But she's so arrogant. She's so arrogant. Like, here comes Ghidorah. He's gonna stop your monsters. He's more powerful than your monsters. And as she's saying that, Ghidorah is like thrashing around a Aguilaris or whatever the spiky turtle armadillo guy is. He's tossing him around and ends up like busting open the earth, and there's a dirt avalanche that reveals the alien installation. And as she's talking so cocky about how Ghidorah is going to defeat them and everything's fine, Earth is doomed, you little dum-dums. I'm all that in the bag of potato chips, girlfriend. As she's talking all this arrogant shit, that's when she suddenly hears the screaming howl of Godzilla's voice. And she goes... Deer in headlights, like, oh shit, they found us. And Godzilla just soccer kicks the shit out of their protective shield and blows them all up, as Godzilla should, and then all the monsters beat the shit out of Ghidorah. I mean, damn, there's all this drama about Joker Folie à Deux, and I just couldn't help but in my head make these little memes like, oh no, when Aguilaris is holding Ghidorah, biting onto his neck, and Ghidorah flies up. I'm like, oh, there's Arthur Fleck, and then Ghidorah bites the thing on the neck, and oh, that's society beating up Arthur Fleck. And you see that poor monster just fall, presumably to his death, all the way to the ground in that earth-shattering moment. Man, and then Ghidorah is just stomping on him. I'm like, oh, there's society again, just kicking Arthur Fleck's ass. Just can't get a break. Arthur Fleck can't get a break. And then when all the monsters are ganging on Ghidorah, I was like, oh no, Ghidorah, this time Ghidorah is Joker Folia Do, and then here's Twitter, and here's Rotten Tomatoes, and here's the rest of the internet just beating the shit out of Ghidorah. Like, well, I'm sorry, Joker Folia Do. I couldn't help but imagine that. But anyway, yeah, this ending was so epic. This movie was fun. They managed to make the human plot very fast. It just kept moving, and they got the monsters in there very quickly. Like we're in a very interactive movie. The pieces are moving. The characters are just interesting enough to keep things going. We're not getting like any huge human story. No one's holding on to any photographs of their unrequited loves. We're just straight into it, into what's going on, into the action and out, and I just had a blast. I'm telling you, this is Armageddon. I totally got Armageddon vibes the entire time. I'm like, Michael Bay, dude. I got no beef with you with the Transformers movies. I love the art design. I'm glad you picked that one crazy Japanese guy that none of the other art design people respected because his designs were too wild. I love it. And even with 4 and 5, I appreciate you. I know you wanted to cap it at 3, and the studio was like, make 2 more. So I appreciate you for pumping it out 2 more. And those, for as wild as those movies were, they actually had some elements to them that I thought were better than the first 3 movies. Certain elements, not the whole story, but there's certain things you did in those last 2 that I thought, oh man, if only you sort of felt like you could do those with the first 3, because you took the story in some interesting directions. Like, yeah, it was fun. And I just feel like if Michael Bay was going to make any Godzilla movie, give this dude Destroy All Monsters. He could kill it, because basically he's made it already. It's Armageddon again, except that you don't have to sacrifice anybody, except Ghidorah. He does get his ass handed to him. But yeah, Destroy All Monsters, what a blast. I'm totally going to put that in my ranking right underneath Son of Godzilla. I'm telling it to you right now. You don't have to wait for that one. Where the rest of these go, that's the mystery. I had a family once. One night a drifter came calling, a vampire. He tried to make me decide which order they died in. I survived and he escaped, but I learned what he was. I learned his weaknesses: garlic, silver, sunlight, and I trained. And I traveled. I will find him. And nothing will stand in my way. Name's Whistler. These ads is whack, man. So when we get into All Monsters Attack, I'm not going to talk much about this one. This movie to me is the lowest bar of all the movies yet. I was very frustrated with this movie because it is essentially, we have this human plot of a little boy. He's a latchkey kid. His father's always at work. I don't remember what the deal is with his mom, but his dad is always at work, so he's just running around, being a kid, running around Japan, having little adventures. But his adventures are sitting down and imagining himself witnessing Godzilla battles. And so what he does is he runs around, sits around, and then we just cut to footage of all of the fights from Son of Godzilla, including a monster that I don't even remember. He might be that might actually be new footage, and I don't even know, but I don't even care, because besides that weird looking monster, that weird looking unicorn colored dinosaur, I don't know what the heck he is. Besides that, All Monsters Attack was just a a human plot with a lot of reused footage from Son of Godzilla. And Son of Godzilla is my favorite, so I remember that pretty clearly. Yeah, I was really disappointed that they cashed it in, or they phoned it in. I was like, really? You don't think people are going to notice that you're just reusing footage from the other movie? But at the same time, maybe they didn't. Maybe they didn't care. I don't know. But this is not the first time they've reused footage. Even in Destroy All Monsters, they reused the footage of Ghidorah's first appearance, and just said, "Oh, he's back." You know, I was like, "Nah, that's his first appearance. That's not back. That's the first time." And the movies do tend to reuse the same actors and play them as different characters. But there's a semi-continuity at the same time. These movies are so funky. But yeah, All Monsters Attack, I did not like it. That's actually the movie that made me stop and have this break, because I just couldn't get through it. I was just watch a little bit, stop, and I was like, I'm not interested in this human plot. There's too much humans. The kid happens himself upon a little thief subplot where these thieves are trying to steal a car, and they've got money, and he gets involved with it, and none of it's very interesting, and I don't even remember how it ends or care, because they just spend the whole movie cutting to footage of movies we've already seen before. So, All Monsters Attack, I'm telling you, okay, this one I can also tell you right now, bottom of the list. I'm not even going to wait for that one. And then we get to Hedorah. Hedorah is going to be an interesting one to place, because it's probably going to be second to bottom. Once I review the list, we'll know for sure. Hedorah was interesting because this movie takes place, it's 1972, I think, or one, and it's right after summer of '69. It's very clear that the hippie movement has, if not reached Japan, at least the movies from America must have reached Japan. Something's gone on, because this whole movie, we got Japan with people in this very kind of hippie vibe, and everyone's talking about the environment. The movie's about the environment, which, hey, I'm all for talking about the environment. That's fine. But then the monster is literally made out of the pollution, and then he goes around polluting people and killing them with his pollution, and people die from acid gas. And it's really freaking weird. But there's a sequence that I think was inspired by The Blob. I think The Blob, the original one, it had to be the original, because I know they didn't make the remake till the 80s. But yeah, and I haven't seen either Blob, but I've seen clips. So it was clear this movie had some definite American influences. But it was just kind of pieced together strangely. It had very much like some other 70 movies I've seen. It has these animated interludes that kind of backfills information, where after Hedorah runs around, there's an animation interlude showing society getting into face masks and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, all right, that's one way to go. Yeah, so we get these weird animated interludes. I'm not a fan of it. Yeah. But what's great, though, I have to admit, although I'm not particularly interested in Hedorah, I don't think he's that interesting of a bad guy. It's very, very ugly looking, like literally a trash kaiju. Although Hedorah himself is not interesting, the ending of the movie is very good. Like, they stick the landing, and I was just so surprised at how much I was into, because Godzilla does have a couple tussles with Hedorah, and Hedorah just kind of gets away from him. But in the final battle, Hedorah kind of gets the upper hand for a minute. Not really. It's you feel a little bit for Godzilla, but it's not really that serious. But one of the best moments, the one thing that I say worth the price of admission, right? Worth the price of admission for watching Hedorah, if you were to see this in this movie. There is a subplot where the humans again kind of figure out a way to stop Hedorah, and they create a whole new invention that they learn Hedorah is vulnerable to electricity. When used in a certain way, it can just dry him up and basically break all of his cells apart. And it's not like they can communicate this to Godzilla, But essentially, Hedorah, in his hunt, eventually gets onto them, and so the final battle is up against Godzilla, Hedorah, and this invention. And basically, they just wait for the battle to get in the way of the invention, this gigantic power station situation. And they start zapping Hedorah, and it zaps Godzilla too, which kind of like messes him up. But Godzilla, again, good visual storytelling. What's wonderful about all these movies is that when we're in the special effects sequences, the visual storytelling is perfect. Like I said, going back to even the first three Godzillas, it's very... They do such a good job of early Godzilla, clarifying that Godzilla isn't always just stomping through, deliberately terrorizing Japan. Sometimes he's just walking through. And he's like walking through the town. I forget which movie it was. It might have been King Kong versus Godzilla. But there's a scene where Godzilla's just walking around and everyone's freaking out and evacuating. And he's walking by this giant church. I think it's a giant church anyway. And he just kind of slips. He missteps and he slips into this man-made ditch, or it might have been a canal around that kind of surrounds the church. He just slips and smashes into it. He falls and smashes into the church, and people are acting like, "Oh, Godzilla's so angry!" And Godzilla, you can just see in his face and the way he acts, like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa! Shoot, I didn't mean to fall there." You know what I mean? So there's sometimes where he's not trying to destroy people. He's just walking around because he's a god. He's a Zilla. He's a Godzilla. And he likes to strut around a little bit and just, get some oxygen, get some blood flowing. He's a person. So the visual storytelling is always so clear, but I love that when they're in the middle of their battle with Hedorah, and he sees that this device is clearly beating Hedorah, and then all of a sudden the power is so great it creates a surge that breaks the actual power station charging the machine. But Godzilla he uses his radioactive breath to charge it and keep it going. Godzilla really, he has intelligence. He's got intelligence. He has character. It's such a good sequence in particular that point. But the worth the price of admission part. As the final battle begins, and they're just throwing punches at each other, tossing each other around. There's a part where one of the military vehicles that's supposed to be part of the whole mission, they drive just right up to the battle. I don't know if it's by accident or if they're just trying to get to the post where the rest of the military guys are. But they drive right up to the battle, and then they look up, and Godzilla just straight up tackles Hedorah, and Hedorah falls straight back onto the vehicle. And you see the guys go, "Ah!" And they get smashed. Oh my god, it's like I would never want to go that way. I don't want anyone to go that way, but it was just so funny. It's like, no, Godzilla is, again, he by accident killed these people. He wasn't trying to kill them. They drove up to a kaiju battle like idiots, and then decided to stop right behind one as they got tackled by Godzilla. So, granted, they didn't know Godzilla was going to tackle them, but why did you drive so goddamn close? It's because they were fighting in the middle of the road. There was nothing they could do. But they shouldn't have gotten that close. Yeah, wait for them to at least cross the road, please. Think next time. Think. If they're fighting in the road, don't go within falling distance. Okay, you gotta think of falling distance just in case. Just like me, if I ever fall, watch out. I might knock you over. I'm a big guy. I am Matt Jira, by the way. If I fall, a couple blocks are gonna rumble. But yeah, Hedorah versus Godzilla. Oh, and then there's one more worth the price of admission sequence. Oh my god. Oh no. So it seems like they've defeated Hedorah with their machine, and there's just this pile of rubble. And Godzilla, who is already beating up that little pile of rubble pretty good. He's walking away, and it seems like it's done, but the music hasn't started, so you know something's up. And then he just stops and goes, "Wait a minute, I don't think it's over." And he turns and he kicks a rock at the pile of rubble, and all of a sudden a smaller Hedorah flies out because he has a flying form. And he just starts, the little flying Hedorah just starts booking it, getting away from him. And then Godzilla turns around. He puts his hands out and turns around, like so elegant. Wow! He turns around and he uses his flame breath to make himself like a rocket, and just blasts himself backward. I mean, I don't know if I'm laughing at the movie or with the movie, but I genuinely love it. It's so funny. It's just so good. That he's just just so, and then he does catch up with flying Hedorah. It's like, what? Okay. Okay, this happens. This happened. It happened. That happened. Okay, all right. That was legitimately amazing. And then of course, you know, he of course he beats Hedorah, and the movie's over, and it's all fine again. You know, talk about they stick the landing. The ending's fine. I'm happy with that. But geez, what a just a funky movie up until that point. Some really cool sequences. The blob sequence. There's a club. There's a Japanese club where everyone's hanging out and partying. That's where we get our little blob sequence. That was pretty cool. Editing was a bit funky, but you know, it was a pretty cool sequence. And then just the end, you know, and ooh. But wow to Hedorah. And finally that brings us to Gigan.
Oh, refreshing. Coca-Cola. Water sucks. It really, really sucks. Except when you're in a drought. Coca-Cola. For when you've already had your liter of water. Stop reminding me, Jenny. Coca-Cola. Refreshing.
These ads is whack, man. So, Gigan, okay. This movie starts as my least favorite movie because it starts off with this cartoonist trying to get a job, and he's suggesting monster ideas for his little kaiju cartoon, and the potential boss rejects his ideas and says, better luck somewhere else. And so this plot leads him to a very weird building that looks odd. I should have known it was aliens right away. I should have known. It's just like, dude, they're like screaming at you. It looks weird. It's probably aliens. But leads him to this room with this, you see just this giant globe. It kind of looks like the moon. It might be Earth, I don't know. But to me, it looked like the moon, especially with it being silver gray. And then the globe turns around and it's actually a desk. It's this guy, the globe thing, whether it's the moon or not, it's actually a gigantic chair. And this is just a lazy Sally, an electrical lazy Sally, for this dude to have his gigantic desk where he works. So like, okay, so we're in Austin Powers now. We're not just in Austin Powers with that. There's sliding doors. And this dude, this cartoonist guy, just trips and falls into this room with the sliding door. It's such a bad moment. It's so poorly executed, and that when he stands up, I expect that when the sliding door shuts, he's just gonna go, oh, like it's shut on his butt or something. Ay. It's just this. I just did not care. I did not care one bit for anything human related that's in the first 45 minutes of this movie, to the point where I again started just fast forwarding. And I'm so sorry if that makes me less of a fan or less qualified. I apologize, but I just couldn't do it. I know it. These movies are all the same. It doesn't matter. Just get to that freaking special effects sequences. But then there's one incredible special effects sequence where Aguilaris, or whatever, the spiky tortoise armadillo guy, he shows up on a shore, and the military is ready and waiting for him, and they blast him, and then they have a new weapon that shoots these kind of electric bolts, and it drives them away, and that was a cool little sequence. But this makes Aguilaris go and ask Godzilla, "Hey, can you help me out here? These guys attacking me." And then that's when we find out that this new workplace that this cartoonist is asking for a job from is run by aliens, and the aliens are making a Godzilla park, where it's Kaiju Park, it's Monster Park, but there's a giant Godzilla statue, which is actually a giant energy weapon designed to kill Godzilla. So, wow to all of that. But I just don't care. There's a girl on the run. I don't know why. I don't care. I don't know. She has something to do with the whole plot. I don't know what it was. I fast forwarded or didn't pay attention. It's really just so uninteresting. Whatever it is that was going on with the human characters, it was so uninteresting. I couldn't commit to watching those bits. And I just was like, just get me to the kaiju, man. But to this movie's credit, once it's revealed that these guys are aliens, of course, they summon Hedorah, because we already had a new monster in the last one. So, we need a break in between to build the next one, I guess. And they summon Hedorah, and then they also summon Gigan. I'm like, okay, all right, a new monster. I expected a new monster, and now I got one. And I have to say, once those two show up on screen, the rest of the movie works. And we get into the plot of fighting the aliens, so the humans are back to something more interesting, and not that I care how they got there. But once we're just in these aliens destroying Japan, it's just like the level of destruction they're causing is so sad. It's like, not that you're really seeing any human characters, but you can just tell the destruction, the way it's shot is beautiful. The cinematography of Hedorah is some of the best in the series. It's just some of the best kaiju cinematography yet. I really love how they shoot Gigan in some of these sequences as well. Some of these shots were following his feet, and then not only that, he has this whole gimmick where his stomach, which seems to just be this row of spikes, it's actually a spike wheel. It turns into a buzzsaw. And my favorite shot in this whole sequence is when he turns that thing on for the first time, and he just razor cuts through a building. And the way they shoot it low angle on our practical set with all the buildings, as if we're kind of in an alleyway looking up, and we see one building out of focus in the foreground, and we see the building getting destroyed in the middle ground, and all of a sudden the smoke and the dust and the destruction happens, and Hedorah just bursts through, and it's a daunting piece of destructive photography while also being a great special effect, not visual, but special. Gigan is best shot during these sequences, and this is exactly what I was waiting for this whole time. It's like, in my head, I've always thought, you can bring this back. This can all come back. If you look at how far our technology has come with cinematography and digital technology, and again, with all these wonderful engineers and talented people making all of their custom Bumblebee costumes and custom monster costumes, the talent and ability of today's generation and the ability of technology of what we have is, we absolutely have the ability to do this today. I firmly believe it. I absolutely believe it, and I want to direct it. If I could get just a handful of these people, or if I got to do it myself, I'll do it myself. However it has to shake down. But when I saw this, the cinematography, like this is what I saw in my head, is like doing this in modern day, you know, with this beautiful lighting that looks so natural when they're causing all the flames, and the flames seem to be lighting Ghidorah. The Ghidorah is shot so fantastically. I really was just so impressed by this entire sequence. This was the best special effects sequence, I think, of all the movies so far. Because I didn't see it coming, because I wasn't impressed with the sort of little miniature sets that are in the beginning of the movie. Wasn't impressed with that. I did not like the human story one bit. Literally until it became an action story. And there's just not. I mean, I think they've just done so many movies at this point. They've kind of run out of natural, relatable human characters to do. So they're just really trying to experiment and try something a little different, and I don't blame them for doing it. But it just wasn't interesting for me. But this whole sequence where they're destroying Japan, it's incredible. It really is incredible. And now I think this is like the Independence Day. Japan's Independence Day was Gigan. Because again, it's just such incredible photography. Really, really great acting on the part of the performers in those suits. I just thought they really captured. Because sometimes in these movies, especially Destroy All Monsters, they kind of act a little goofy. They kind of act a little silly. They know kids are going to watch this most likely and enjoy it. It's really for kids. But the acting in this one and the special effects puppeteering of Ghidorah has evolved so far. It's really impressive. I gotta say, Gigan really surprised me. I did not think it was going to be this cool and this good at this point. I had debated watching it, but I was just so disappointed with Hedorah. I just didn't want that to be the last one I talked about. I just felt like it's kind of a wet fart in comparison to Destroy All Monsters. But Gigan just came full swing back to, and I'll forgive the All Monsters Attack movie in its entirety because of how impressively well made this special effects sequence was just by itself. It's not even the final battle, but it is the beginning of this huge bit of carnage that involves Godzilla. Eventually Godzilla and Aguilaris. Eventually Godzilla and his little spiky friend catch up and join the battle, and it is actually a very dramatic battle. The music is dramatic. It doesn't just use the Godzilla theme. They're and it's not a super fun theme. I think even Destroy All Monsters, although not that it didn't know how to take itself seriously, it was a little bit more fun. But Gigan just kept the music dramatic for these battles, and you really get to see Gigan just whoops Godzilla's ass. It's hard to watch, actually, after so many movies. It's actually exactly like the MCU experience, where you have 20 movies where our superheroes are basically untouchable, and then all of a sudden we get Infinity War, and it's like this new group of villains led by Thanos are actually capable of knocking down and beating our heroes into submission. And Thanos himself is so powerful, and they don't shy away from it. He's so powerful that literally no one can stop him. And I just felt like, wow, this Gigan is our Thanos. It's like we have so many movies. It's about time Godzilla got his ass handed to him. Because the Hedorah battle, even though he got some good licks in, I just did not feel like I was worried about Godzilla. I was like, I know Godzilla's gonna make it. If I'm pretty sure he's gonna be fine. Whereas this movie, I was like, this is different. Godzilla's tired, and there's a beautiful shot of Godzilla coming up after being thrown down, and again, the performance is so good. You can tell he's winded. Damn, and the battle just goes on and on. It goes from night, which is fantastic cinematography, to day. It's kind of more standard looking, it's not the best cinematography anymore, but again, the action and the performances are still good. The special effects are still solid. But then now that the cinematography and the production design aren't the star, now what's happening to Godzilla, the actual story content, even though it's action, the story content of, oh no, Godzilla's met his match, you know. We actually see Godzilla get stabbed in the head by Gigan. Oh, that was very hard to watch. That was really hard to watch. I was like, no, Uncle Godzilla. You know, no, you know. That was hard to watch. I felt really, I was like, no. And then not only that, but the laser beam weapon made by the aliens. Godzilla gets shot in the dick. He gets shot in the dick. Oh my god. You know what I mean? Like, wow. They really go all out. First the laser. Already Godzilla's getting his ass handed to him by Gigan, but then he gets blasted by this laser and it's beating him down. And they shoot him in the dick. They're trying to prevent him from having any more children. It's hard to watch these scenes. I couldn't believe that I felt that way, you know, because again, the movie starts off and I just want to be anywhere else but watching it. But I'm committed. I want to make these movies happen. I want to become a true Godzilla fan and know this character inside and out. And it at least starts with watching the movies. I'm going to get to watching behind the scenes stuff as soon as I can, but I got to get through a sizable chunk of these movies. And I consider myself almost at the halfway point. I'm like 12 movies in now. And once I know that there's 3 or 4 more movies that once I've watched them, there's a 9-year gap in Godzilla movies being made. So I'm trying to just finish this first series of Godzilla pictures that are all kind of one after the other. But yeah, so seeing Godzilla get his ass handed to him, and it really seems like he was going to die, and then Godzilla ends up winning the day. He finds a weakness, or he finds a weaker point on Gigan and just starts pounding that point, and he wins. And I just thought, wow, it really. And then of course after knocking Gigan off his ass, or onto his ass, he then proceeds to beat up Hedorah and teach him a lesson or two that he's already taught him before twice. And Hedorah just slips out of his grip and flies away. Gigan follows him, and and then Godzilla just stands triumphant. He did it with a little help from his friend, and I felt the movie. I was with the movie. All the human characters, the human characters managed to sabotage the Godzilla statue that's actually hiding a gun, the laser weapon that shot him in the dick. What the fuck? Yeah, they managed to do that, and I was just like, dude, like, I can't believe I'm so in on this movie. Might be my favorite. This is definitely my favorite special effects sequence, and my favorite villain. I thought Hedorah was going to be my favorite, but he just keeps coming back and losing. So I'm like, oh, well, okay, I don't care. And the effects just aren't good enough, except for in this movie, to make me go, okay, yeah, okay. But Gigan was a legitimate threat to Godzilla, and a legitimate foe, a true adversary. And I just was like, I mean, that is what Hedorah was when he first showed up. But I mean, again, you've been beat up 3 times now. I can't take you seriously. I mean, in the Hedorah movie, he was amazing. It was an amazing battle that interconnected with the human stuff very well. But Gigan, since Ghidorah's first arrival, I have not felt this way about any of our new monsters. Gigan just took the cake. He totally baned. He was Bane. He's Godzilla's Bane. Damn. You know what I mean? Fucking. And they shot Godzilla in the dick. I just can't get over it. But yeah, so it's going to be a weird one placing this one. I don't exactly know where to put him. And I'm going to think about it for a minute. Okay, I literally have my ranking queued up. The current ranking of Godzilla movies in order is number 1, Son of Godzilla. Number 2, Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. Number 3, Godzilla Raids Again. Number 4, Gojira. Number 5, Mothra versus Godzilla. Number 6, Invasion of the Astro Monster. Oh, no. Number 6, Abira, Horror of the Deep. And number 7, Invasion of the Astro Monster, rightfully at the bottom. But there is a new low. There is a new low. Right off the bat, Son of Godzilla is my number 1. That's not moving. Hedorah was pretty good, actually. Oof, man, should I keep that at number 2? That's a tough one. That's a really tough one. But I think because of the excitement factor, and feel free to disagree with me in the comments, but of course, please be respectful. I gotta put Destroy All Monsters as number 2. Destroy All Monsters was so much fun. That's number 2. Okay, that's number 2. Now, All Monsters Attack. Well, we'll get to All Monsters Attack. Where am I gonna put Gigan? You know what? I don't like the other movies all that much. I'm going to put Gigan right after Hedorah. Although, it's just story-wise not as good. Story-wise, it's nowhere near as good at Godzilla Raids Again or Gojira, which I think were very solid pictures. Gigan, story-wise, falls on its face. But the special effects sequences, when we get into Godzilla, when we're just with the kaijus, it's so good. It is better than everything. So I'm gonna have to rank this, especially because of pure entertainment value, but also in terms of Godzilla's own story. While he doesn't get much going on, just the fact that he has a foe that challenges him so deeply. Because of the story not being very good, I can't put it over Hedorah. But I'm totally going to put it below Hedorah. Now number 4 is Gigan. Whew, that was a tough one, because I skipped the first half an hour of this movie so quickly. And I tried sitting through it, but I mean, I did not want to. But the ending, the second half of the movie is just explosively good. It's just way too good. Okay, which leaves me to Hedorah. And where will Hedorah lie? It is better than Invasion of the Astro Monster, and it is better than Abira, but definitely not better than Mothra versus Godzilla. So my new number 8 is going to be Hedorah. And he does have a giant head. He looks like a very ugly Gumby. He looks like Gumby came out and they were like, ooh, that's the shape I want. But he can't look like Gumby. Put trash on him. All right, we're done. You know? And now the new number 11, the lowest ranked Godzilla movie so far, is All Monsters Attack. I am very sorry. You did good as filmmakers. Technically, performance-wise, all of that flies. I just do not like you reusing footage from Son of Godzilla. Come on, man. Get out of here. And the boy has fantasies of talking to Minya, who literally shrinks down to boy size. No. 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 I don't like that. Wow. Okay, so that is the new ranking. Now number 1. Well, still number 1, Son of Godzilla. Number 2, Destroy All Monsters. Number 3, Hedorah. Number 4, Gigan. 5, Godzilla Raids Again. 6, Gojira. 7, Mothra vs. Godzilla. 8, Hedorah. 9, Abira. 10, Invasion of the Astro Monster. And 11, All Monsters Attack, which is a joke because, wow, reutilized footage. Mecha Japan, Mecha Toho. Wow, you made a clip show as a movie. Mecha, but that's okay, you know. I love all the movies, you know. Well, obviously I don't love all the movies, but I love this experience. I'm really having a great time. Again, the second half of Gigan is so explosively good. It's undeniable. But it's just Ghidorah as a whole from the beginning. Like, I still just remember the premise. It's sharp. It's got a lot going on. It's very sharp and fast and fun, and has good character development. And then, of course, the end battle is epic. But the fact that it combined the human plot with the monster plot in a clever way that didn't make either one look like unnecessary or ridiculous, I thought I gotta keep Ghidorah above Gigan, even though without question Gigan was a much better foe for Godzilla. So that's my ranking for right now. Dang, was I happy with this. I was so happy that Gigan ended so well. And now we have, next up, I'll be watching the Mecha Godzilla, it's kind of funny because I started off, when I first started watching these movies for inspiration, I wasn't going to watch them in order. I thought, I don't need to watch them in order. It's Godzilla, right? I just don't watch anything. So I went to the first one that interested me was Mecha Godzilla. Because I did not like the legendary presentation of these characters. I didn't know why. It was just instinctually, these are not working for me. I know that they're all introduced separately. Again, like Marvel in the original timeline. So watching them all get smashed together in this kind of weird way, it just didn't work for me. Especially Ghidorah, which visually I was so excited for. I thought, doesn't this guy deserve his own movie? Shouldn't you just build this up Marvel Cinematic Universe style? Which actually, that's exactly what the Godzilla movies did. Except that Godzilla was just the main character. So it's more like Godzilla and his amazing friends as opposed to the Avengers. But yeah, I really appreciate that actually the first MCU was Godzilla. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed the ending of Gigan, thoroughly enjoyed Destroy All Monsters. If you have not been watching these movies, I recommend watching them in order. If you want to, watch them get better, or if you just want to watch the best ones, just watch whatever's on the top half of my list, and then you can watch the other ones for kicks. But that's what I got for today. Just celebrating these movies as I enjoy them, and we'll get into the Mecha Godzilla stuff next. Because what made me watch this in order was we got the seemingly Godzilla seems to be destroying Japan, and everyone's like, why is Godzilla attacking Japan? I thought he was our friend now. Just like Terminator 2. Why attack Russia? Aren't they our friends now? And then like something hits Godzilla, and then there's a metal piece underneath, and one guy just suddenly goes, oh, that's alien steel. And it's like, how do you just know that that's alien steel? How do you just know that? It's just like, I can't. And then from that moment on, I was like, fine, I'm going to do my homework properly and watch these from the beginning, because I have no idea how you just know that that's alien steel. But now that I've seen that you guys have fought the aliens like 3 or 4 times, now I'm into it. Now I kind of have some context for this stuff. So next up, I'll be watching Mecha Godzilla. So after a few reviews, I'm totally always behind on my reviews because I'm trying to keep up, and I'm trying to put the new stuff out immediately now. I used to be trying to do things in order of shooting them, but then you would see my weight fluctuations in time. Like, no. But now I'm just, if I see something new, that's the first thing out. So I'm always putting the new stuff first. So that is why there will be some gaps in this Godzilla in order video. But I hope you've been enjoying, and if you have been enjoying, please come back for more. You can like and subscribe if you would like to know when the next Godzilla video comes out, if that's what you're here for. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and stay classy, San Diego? No. Aloha. That's all I got right now. Aloha. Fucking Gigan, dude. And then shooting him in the dick. I just can't get over it. Oh my god. Okay. Thank you very much for watching. Aloha.